Well, Cliff, I'm so stoked to be able to get some FaceTime with you again. The last time was when we were out in Washington, D.C., and I was so looking forward to meeting you and also walking the hills of Congress with you and everything as well. Look, you're on the Big Island right now, which is a great place to be. What are you working on?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to just stay busy in the whole digital world since travel restrictions are pretty heavy here on the island and in Hawaii. And yeah, I mean, I just have some time that I could spend at home doing some research on the waves that I grew up surfing. So I got this project that I got from the National Science Foundation to study the resiliency of our reefs on the east side of the Big Island. So by not traveling and chasing too much swell, I have like a lot of time to actually watch the corals grow and actually do some research at home. So I've been pretty busy here working on kind of the home front, and I've been really appreciative to get this time to just focus on the science and you know do some surfing too. But instead of kind of, I guess before it was more surfing and checking out the science in between the waves. So it's a little switched, and I'm liking it.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, look, you've got a really interesting career package. You're a surfer, you're a journalist, and you're a scientist. I mean, talk about three of the coolest things that you could blend together. Uh, which one are you drawn to more?
I feel like I feel they're all storytelling. So I try to tell the best stories I can in the waves, or on paper, through film, or even through my research. And I guess I just grew up with a big appreciation for story. My people are big storytellers here in the islands, so I just really love a good story, and I'm just trying to find different passions in life that I feel tell stories in a way that is like interesting to me. And for sure, like the ocean is top of the list. So all my surfing is, I mean, sometimes I'll surf in a pool or in a river, but majority of the surfs in the ocean. I
Yeah.
write my stories about ocean things, and my research is pretty much completely based on the ocean.
Yeah, well, dude, you are definitely an incredible storyteller, and that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to meet you earlier this year. Look, that was your first trip. I mean, you and I went up to Washington, D.C. I'd been up there for, at least three times a year for the last dozen or so years, but I believe it was your first trip to D.C. in an official capacity to lobby members of Congress with Surfrider. What was that experience like for you? I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible to. I felt like a lot of. I've been to Washington D.C. one time before for a science conference, but I didn't even want to go into the whole political world. And I just kind of growing up, I felt really uncomfortable given my own political situation here in the Hawaiian Islands with our relationship with the United States. It's not very straightforward as some people may think. So I have this like kind of anxiety around politics and feeling that I can even have a voice. So when I was asked to participate in this lobbying event at DC, I was a little nervous, and I guess I came in with a different kind of perspective on. I just wanted to feel like comfortable in it. I felt like I was getting a soft top, and just kind of staying in the inside of the lineup. I didn't even want to go out, and by going up there, I seen it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. And once I started to actually communicate and have a sit down conversation with some of the governing decision makers, it brought that kind of anxiety down tremendously, and it allowed me to feel like, okay, I can maybe do this. And since then, I've been a lot more engaged in politics.
Yeah, isn't it funny? I mean, I'm the same way. I was very hesitant to get involved in politics. That was more than 12 years ago. I told myself I'd never do it. And I had an experience and it hooked me and I enjoyed it. But I also saw that, I could, share an opinion that could help sway a decision that could lead to something good. And, I think your voice was very important to be heard when we went there in February. Is there anything that, while you were out there, did anything stick out at you that was a surprise, that was like an aha moment or anything?
Yeah, when a lot of the kind of the policymakers were telling, well, first I seen that it was a team. It wasn't just one face, and that really opened my eyes. Like I feel before I was very much like, oh, that's the person who got elected. So if they do something good, it's only them, or they do something bad, it's only them. When I went up there, I seen there's a team of people, advisors and liaisons, and so many different people that help one individual create the policy, which goes into like a bunch of groups. And I just see it's a more team effort, and I didn't really realize that before.
Mhm.
And also that they were to the team members, not only these like elected officials, but their team were telling me, go back to your local community and get the people that you believe represent you elected into office. And that was a huge kind of eye-opening thing for me, that we were 5,000 miles away from the home front, and they were telling me, go back home and realize that what you do at home is going to affect what happens up here, which has an effect on the total system. So yeah, it got me more inspired to, look at my mayor, people who are running for mayor and people who are looking for running for county council, and like public charters and all these things that I kind of was like, oh no, like the president is going to determine everything. It's like I realized, okay, at home we do represent a lot of decisions, and I'm gonna do my duty, I guess, to be involved in that way.
Well, that's great. I'd heard in the past from folks that are in the political system, and one of the things that they've said is, how do we get more Americans involved in the political process, especially when it comes to wanting to protect our oceans and everything. And it sounds like that is exactly what has happened to you. You have found a way to get involved and use your voice and the ability to tell stories and bring it back home. I mean, all politics is local. So what are you doing locally? What anything that you can kind of point to that you're working on locally, from a process of getting more people to vote, or getting people educated, or just getting more involved?
Yeah, right now it's mostly word of mouth, and trying to not be afraid to have the political conversations when I'm like in a group or something. I think you said it really well. Politics takes like a mature understanding of how people view and see things, and I I understand when people can get really like fixated on one person or one law or something that happened, and I understand that because, like me, maybe they're very inexperienced in the whole political system. So I don't take offense when someone gets offended. I almost kind of empathize and say, it was scary for me too. That same level of anxiety that you're having, I get that. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just saying that I'm going to go out and I'm going to participate in this. And if people agree with me, awesome. If they don't, that's awesome too. As long as we're all engaging and kind of utilizing the system that has been implemented to, I don't know, let our voices be heard, whatever that voice is. And I'm willing to humble my own views if I got to just know that, kind of like the natural flow of like anything, we will find some equilibrium eventually. And it may be, pressing to try to get some of these things figured out more than others. I just have to believe and hold on to that hope that we will find a better decision for our environment and for our oceans.
Yeah, no, you're right. It can be intimidating to get involved in politics. Stepping in to any conversation around politics could be like a landmine. But look, I think you know this very well, as others have done so before us, is that the oceans shouldn't be politicized. I mean, they are open to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, right, left, whatever side of the aisle that you sit on. I mean, a healthy ocean benefits all of us, not
Totally,
just some of us, right?
totally.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I think I see too, is that people look at it as a divisive message, but really it's not. It can be something that can unite us, and we can look at it and say, yeah, you know what? If we protect our ocean, that means that we are also protecting our economy, we're protecting our jobs as well, and our local coastal communities and mom and pop businesses that
Hmm.
rely on these healthy oceans.
Totally. And I'm like one of those, I have my views and my opinions on what I think. I think that's why, Vote the Ocean is like so cool. It's we look at all the differences, we marginalize those, and we're saying our commonality is we care about the ocean. So that's kind of where I usually lean towards, is any type of representative that cares about the ocean, because it's kind of like a keystone subject, I think, in terms of like you said, the economy, the environment, mental health, like education, travel, tourism, all this stuff kind of depends on this like keystone topic. And if people are about that, I'll listen. And the only time I kind of don't support ideas is when there's a outright like no, oceans are important. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to exercise my right to vote not whatever you're saying because I care about the ocean.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that front. Look, Cliff, you're a surfer, you're a journalist, and you're a scientist. I mean, all three of those things individually are really cool too. But you and I come from the surf world. We're surfers first, I think. You're obviously way better than I am, but my passion starts with surf. What's your message to other surfers right now, to get involved? I see more and more people concerned about the environment, but what would your inspirational message be to surfers out there who are thinking about the ocean and wanting to protect it and maybe get involved?
Yeah, this is kind of like an interesting thing that I've been really thinking about the last 8 months. Is this idea of like, do you just care about the ocean more than you even care about yourself? And that's kind of what I feel sometimes. It's a privilege for some of us to be able to like have that ability to say, I'm going to donate some money to a campaign, or I'm going to, go out and vote in the middle of the day if I need to. That's like kind of a privilege that I think if we take care of ourselves, if we're not just trying to worry about when the next paycheck is coming or how we're going to feed our families, like if we can get good with ourselves, I really believe that it's going to radiate out to, our environment, out to the ocean. So I would say, for the surfer, if we can just focus on making sure we're maintaining a balanced lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, it's going to automatically point towards wanting to be in the ocean more, protecting the ocean more because we're feeling good. I think a lot of times when we're not feeling good and we don't care about the other surfer out in the lineup, we don't really care about anything other than trying to make us feel better. And that's like what the wave does. That's like the beauty of surfing. It like makes us feel so good that we almost get addicted to it. And sometimes we turn into like these like surfer crackheads that are like just running out. They don't care who they have to take advantage of, but they want that feeling, that hit. And I think if we just kind of like get good with ourselves and know like, okay, let's focus on our mental health, let's focus on our physical health, then we'll be good to know when we go to the ocean, it's a richer experience that we have. And that's going to want us, I think, to really engage in wanting to protect it.
No, well said. Well said. Another thing I wanted to ask you, Cliff, is, one of the things that I see is that there's surfers as individuals who we want to get involved in the political process or just in protecting our ocean as well. But you sit at a really interesting intersection, and I'm curious as to like the brands that you work with and the sponsors that you have. I mean, how do you feel that has enabled you to pursue what you are doing, and what's your message to other brands as well? Because I think there's brands that want to get involved, but they're scared of
Yeah.
stepping in. I mean, I think brands have a responsibility, and when that combination between, an athlete and someone like you, an individual like you, meets the right brand, I mean, I think the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think there are some like pioneers in this whole world of wanting to use the surf industry to speak. I mean, I think everyone has pretty much done it in one way or another. If they have something to talk about, they can use their platform in the professional surf industry to share messages. And for me, the messaging around being an environmental steward is just really simple, given my lifestyle. And brands that I'm supported by, Visla and Channel Islands and Hydro Flask, Olukai Shoes and Parlay for the Oceans, they help me they trust that I'm going to share with people what a life can look like by being committed to the stewardship of our oceans. And hopefully that will, for them, I guess it would increase their subscription base, and although a lot of it is around consumerism, we can always, this is a touchy subject too. It's like, oh, but that's a consumer system. And I look at it as that's true. And we can do way better. All of those brands I mentioned can do so much better. It's more accepting that as a species, we consume things. pretty much every organism on this planet consumes something to metabolize energy.
Mm-hmm.
The difference, I think, is the return. And that's what I believe is the work that these brands are beginning to do that support me, are they're working on that give back, because we're never going to completely stop consuming anything, until we die. But if we work on the give back, then we can be like fix that system to be back in order like every other organism on the planet. So it's really amazing to be a part of these different organizations and brands, and I'm really, really, really grateful.
Yeah. You got a little one in the background, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
They want to get it. They want to get in on the action.
Yeah, they heard serve and they're like, "What? We're serving."
Oh, no. Well, Cliff, I mean, that's so good to hear. And look, the brands that you mentioned have been taking incremental steps for a long time, and it's small steps that are needed to realize the outcomes that we want. It just takes a little bit of time. Oh, did I lose you?
I hope not, dude.
Oh.
We're still alive. It's just my face is frozen.
Oh, I think your face is frozen. Okay, all right, all good. That's
Oh,
okay.
at least
That's
it's a smile, huh?
yeah, that's a good frozen face, man. It's like it's better than having one that's like,
Yeah.
like that's a good one that you got going. Well, look, Cliff, I'm so stoked we had a chance to catch up. Thanks so much for all the stuff that you're doing out there. Great storytelling. I love following you on Instagram, and look, when this pandemic is over, fingers crossed, hopefully soon, what are you looking forward to most?
I'm really looking forward to connecting with family. I think that's something that's so critical to just my everyday life, and family scattered across all the islands, friends too across the world. I can't wait to reconnect with them, and hopefully share these stories that right now it's only digital. I miss the human component of it, at least the real life. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, getting back and hanging out with people like you, getting back to this, sharing some waves across the world.
Amen to that, man. I cannot wait either to get waves with you. Well, dude, thanks so much again. Keep doing what you're doing. And look, if there's ever anything we can do to help, our team at Vote the Ocean is there to help you. We love what you do, and keep it up.
Mahalo nui.